Paul, perfect game really. Game each half, clean sheet. So tell us your thoughts.
Just delighted with the win after losing the unbeaten run on Tuesday. It was important, in truth, no matter how we got it, to get back to winning ways. Difficult conditions again. It seems a lot of the time 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, wherever we go, the wind follows us. So it was never going to be the prettiest of games, but I thought what we did first half was defend really well. For the majority, there were some moments but that's probably inevitable. I probably could have got in more than one goal up. That was a little bit of a disappointment, if we're being sort of nitpicky. And just had to be careful that we didn't think the game was just won, just because we defended the wind and we obviously had it in our favour. But sometimes it can make it a little bit harder to play. Had to be careful with the balls forward, running through. And I think in the end we kind of did enough with that second goal to see the game out relatively comfortable. It was a great block at the end from Luke Waterfall to keep the clean sheet. But in the main, I don't think we gave too many chances up. Like I said, not at as fluent best. I think you could tell there were some tired players out there for both teams after midweek games, and certainly in our case, the travelling. So again, it was more the result than anything else.
Mentioned Waterfall though, how good was he today? Because everything that came in the box, he seemed to attract him, his head.
Yes, he did. He's a good player for us in that sense, in terms of the role that we give him. And as you said, he got his head on so many things today, and a proper defender. He stayed alive and got an all-important blocking in terms of keeping that clean sheet and not making it a nervy last couple of minutes, which no one would want. So yeah, he had a good afternoon.
You made 5 changes. How pleased are you with how it paid off, particularly 2 of the players who came in on the score sheet today?
Yeah, they were, and it's been a long time, I suppose, for Scans to get the game time. Credit to him, he's kept his head down, comes in, doesn't moan or groan, just gets on with his job. And I thought he was a threat first half. Second half, didn't get as much of the ball, although he had one shot fired over. And obviously tired, which was understandable. I always felt that that was a substitution that I would have to make at some point. But it's easy to stand here now and say, yeah, it worked. If we'd have lost, then people start questioning, it's only one defeat, why have you made changes? Just felt we needed to freshen it up a little bit. Again, with the sort of games that some of these boys have played and the travelling. And thankfully, as I said, it's worked. But that's when the results sometimes, that was always, in my mind, to freshen it up. Thankfully, as I said, we got the result, so we can all say it was the right decision.
How good is it for you psychologically now, though, to be back into a playoff place for the time being?
Yeah, I think it's nice for the players. I think nice for, the fans to look at it. We all know we can still fall out with the games that people have in hand, but I think it's just important that we maintain our presence, and people, I think, will look at us and think, they're not going away. So it is nice, but as I've said a couple of weeks ago, I think it's where you are at the end of the season, and that's the all important thing. But by amassing the points, that gives us that chance, and we know that we've got some really tough games coming up, but games that if you can come out the right side of the result, you edge closer to people or keep them behind you potentially. So that's what the plan was. We want to be involved in big games moving forwards, and at the minute we're giving ourselves a chance to do that.
And you mentioned you've got some tough games coming up. I think your next 4 are against sides either going for the playoffs or going for promotion, but how much can they relish these games now, having won this game today?
Well, we've got to, as I said, I think the players want to be involved in those games. I think we performed more. I don't think we've given any of the top teams an easy game. We haven't always come out the right side of the result, but I think performance wise we've done well, and we look forward to the challenges ahead.
And how much of a selection headache do you have now? Because you've made 5 changes, but there's an awfully strong bench out there today.
I'd like us to be stronger still, if I'm totally honest. We've still got a couple of lads that are not going to be back anytime soon, that I think would strengthen the squad and my options. But yeah, just because we've won today, I'm not, obviously far too early to think about it, but I'm not convinced that that'll be the team that goes out next Saturday, and that's not again anything against any of the lads that have come in today, or maybe the ones that have played again. But I've always said it, I'm not one that just sticks with it because you win, because I think that's lazy in truth, and doesn't take into account individual performances or perhaps the way that the opposition play and threats that they might pose. So I've got a bit of a journey to have maybe a little start to think about that. We'll have a little bit of a well-earned rest, and then we'll get back in training and plan for Boreham Wood.